Seeing this, Patrick is not sure what to think, and he asks Philip what he's doing there, while Logan just smiles behind him, telling his father that he will now see what he has prepared for the national funeral. Next, 4 days of the national funeral seem to have concluded, the fourth giving Logan a neck pain, and being so boring that he cannot even tell if it was the fourth or the fifth. As Logan is massaging his neck, a guy passes him by, and as he does, he murmurs something, calling Logan a politic bat, someone that takes to whichever side was winning. The man then turns towards Logan and says that Count Bifrost was right. Looking at the man leaving, Logan thinks about Count Bifrost. He then huffs and says that he has been wondering why the envoys from the factions weren't coming, saying that it looks like Bifrost has been working hard running his mouth left and right. Even so, Logan has no intentions of joining every faction. While all of this is happening, someone disturbs Logan, calling him son-in-law. That is not other than Eileen's father. He looks around, asking Logan why he is alone, and inquiring about his relatives, asking if they didn't come, and Logan replies by telling him that his father had to return to their lodgings first. Hearing this, Eileen's father sends Patrick his regards. Then he pops the one question no man wants to hear from his in-laws. He asks Logan if he has decided on a wedding date. Logan tries to escape the question, telling his in-law that, as he must know, his territory is in crisis right now. But Eileen's father replies by saying that publicizing the bond between their families would help keep Befores in check. Hearing this, Logan tells his father-in-law that he cannot make that decision now, as Eileen would scold him again for it. Eileen's father then asks Logan if this is his first time, and Logana asks if he refers to this being his first wedding. His father's in-law's response is genius, telling Logan that if it weren't, he wouldn't be seeing him sit by quietly. What Eileen's father really meant to ask, if this is Logan's first assembly of nobles, the Grand Noblesse. While they are discussing this, some other guys are talking, with one asking how long has it been since the last assembly, and his pal replies by telling him that they, referring to the officials, have said that even those below the Viscount title are allowed entry, and that it has been a long time since he was last there. Hearing this, someone else says that this only shows how taken aback even the royal family was by His Majesty's passing. This is when someone smacks the guy's shoulder. This someone is Logan, who doesn't seem to have done it on purpose, but still made the guy fall to the ground. Logan apologizes to the man while he screams from his ass, telling Logan to watch where he is going. Logan offers his hand, telling the man it wasn't on purpose, yet the guy rejects it, hitting Logan's palm away. As he leaves, he calls Logan so full of himself. Present at the scene, Patrick calls the guy irrational and tells Logan not to worry about him, and Logan says that Patrick is right. Even so, he still looks at the guy, thinking about something. As they prepare to enter the assembly, Logan thinks how in his past life, the event happened 2 weeks after the funeral. Thanks to Felix's declaration of neutrality, neither faction no longer has anything to hide. This is when Logan says that the Grand Noblesse in his past life ended in chaos. The trigger was a Viscount from the First Prince's faction. He was swept up in the rising tension during the assembly. He started cursing at Jordan Valtermine. As a result, the middling aristocrats ended up fighting, which went out of control, and led to even the superhumans clashing outright. It was called the split of the tongue that felled the country. That incident became the starting point of the Civil War, and the Viscount that started it all would be criticized for a long time. And it seems that everything is also on track in this timeline, as one Viscount is fighting with another, asking who should be king, if not His Highness Romain, and the other says that this cannot happen, as His Highness, the First Prince, is well and alive. The Viscount supporting the First Prince asks the other if he has no honor for a superior, but he replies that there is no such thing, as he is only older by mere months, and the first Viscount tells the other to curb his tongue. While this is happening, the two princes just seem to be annoyed by the whole situation, not even looking at each other. Hearing the debate, a judge lets his head down, unsure of what to say. Logan even thinks that at this rate, it wouldn't be odd for anyone to pull the trigger. In his past life, after the fighting during the assembly, there was a period of preparation, and a month or two later, the first battle of the Civil War had begun. However, this is too long for Logan, as Bifrost would be able to crush them during that period of preparation. Logan then clenches his fist and says that the Civil War must begin sooner without any time to prepare. While Logan thinks that, he looks at the Viscount he hit on his way to the assembly, who is arguing for the second prince, saying that it's been so long since they've done away with the tradition of prioritizing the eldest son. He then asks what decides the right to the throne is ability. As such, given how he has resolved the issue of trade with the Empire, His Highness, the great Prince Romain, is most suited for the throne. Hearing this, Prince Romain smiles, while the others praise him, acknowledging what the Count said is true. Hearing this, the other count asks Count Clet what nonsense this is, and the count replies that there is no one as invested in state affairs as His Highness. That is His Highness Prince Romain, and as he says that, he starts bleeding from his nose. Seeing this, he gets scared. His debate opponent is also left speechless, asking him what is wrong. The count then places his hand on his head, and his eyes start to change their color. Suddenly, he seems to faint. He starts going from left to right, losing his balance. Eventually, he stumbles and ends up on the ground. Everyone then gets up, and his supporters ask for a priest to cure the man. Logan and Patrick cannot believe what is happening, or actually it seems that way, as Logan only thinks that he is not breathing, so the poison he infected into him is really effective. Lethe grass. After injecting it with force and frying it out for 3 days to concentrate it, its medical properties will be greatly enhanced, and it becomes a deadlift poison that triggers cerebrovascular hemorrhaging. This truth will be revealed 15 years into the future, and it's something that the Grandia Liberation Front will discover for the purpose of assassinating the upper echelon controlling the Empire. Logan asked Philip to bring him the necessary herbs several days in advance, and by attaching a small needle to his ring, Logan was able to inject the poison into the Count before the meeting began. Although neither a knight or a magician would be fazed by it, against a normal aristocrat like the Count in question, it is incredibly effective. This guy was also the 9th assassination target of the Grandia Liberation Front, codename Parasite, and Logan says that in this life, he will cut that tenacious life short before he can sell out the country. Logan then looks at the princes, thinking about the only question that stands now. What will they do now? Especially since Romain finds what happened infuriating. Next, 2 men come, prepared to take away the lifeless body of the poisoned Viscount. Seeing this, the first prince is unsure of what is happening, while the second one is furious. Everything being done, Romain turns to his brother and asks him if he really dares poison his subordinate. Hearing this, Reuter says that there was nothing for him to gain by killing his traitor, so it wasn't him. He then accuses his Romain of the same thing, asking who he thinks would fall for a farce like this. Romain remains stunned by this, unsure of Reuter's choice or worse, a farce. Suddenly, another Viscount raises, saying that Romain's accusation is an unreasonable one, as they aren't even aware of the reason behind Count Clet falling unconscious. Another person then interrupts the men, asking why he is angry. In the end, it was His Highness Romain who initially accused His Highness Reuter of poisoning the victim, or perhaps the man was provoked upon hearing the word traitor. Hearing this, the man remains stunned. He tells the other guy to shut up, asking him where he thinks he is right now. It seems like chattering is being heard all around, and people are talking. Logan thinks that those two in particular are butting heads first after all. Just like Logan and Bifrost, the two of them are famously hostile northern families. And another similarity is the fact that the family heads are a knight and a mage. The blonde guy asks Count Roxina if he is courting death, and the guy tells Count Chloe that this is exactly what he wants. Overseeing the scene, the judge bangs his hammer, as if it holds any power at the time, telling the man that they would be mad for fighting in the assembly. That is when he sees the bigger picture. Everyone is riling up their aura, prepared for a fight. Seeing this, the judge asks what is happening and drops his gavel. Suddenly, someone yells for everyone to halt. This voice makes everyone turn around, wondering what is happening. As the man enters the room, he tells everyone to calm down, as they must properly investigate this situation to unveil what truly happened. This man is no other than Felix himself, and he says that this is not a matter to be dealt with through emotions alone. Seeing this, Logan thinks that Felix barged in with good timing. However, it won't be easy this time, as the princes themselves started screaming, with Romain saying that the situation is clear as day, asking Felix what other proper procedures he wants. The first prince, however, says that he strongly agrees with the Duke's words, as Romain had no real justification for it, so he decided to get rid of a useless puppet by staging this farce. Hearing this, Romain asks if Reuter really dares say that after such an underhanded assassination, and Reuter says that Romain shouldn't be opposed to an investigation if he is so forthright. Felix then steps forward and asks both of the princes to calm down. Yet as he does, 2 people are blocking his path. These are Jordan and Juan, who seem to have taken Felix by surprise. Jordan tells Felix not to intervene, and Juan continues, saying that even he won't have an easy time against the 2 of them. Felix turns to them and asks if they even understand the situation they are letting unfold. Yet both of them remain unfazed by this question. Seeing what unfolds, Patrick asks how this could be. The 3 sole dukes of their kingdom are in conflict. Juan then tells Felix that he must also be acutely aware of just how pointless an assembly like this is, and Valtimir says that simply coming to a conclusion like this wouldn't be so bad. Looking at the two princes fighting, Felix says that everyone has gone mad. Suddenly, Romain clenches his teeth. He then points his finger at Reuter and tells him that he is no longer his brother. With his finger in his brother's face, he says that there is but one way for them to prove their right to the throne. This is, of course, by force, as Romain says. Hearing this, Reuter starts laughing. He raises his hand and tells all those who follow him to call forth their men. Romain does the same, saying that they will be patient no longer, and prompts his men to take up their arms and prepare for war. As this is happening, Juan and Jordan are kneeling to their distinct lords, and Felix is standing behind them. And I'm not even sure what his expression and little tremble says about this. You can tell me in the comments. After the assembly is over, a carriage waits outside the palace. Inside is Jordan, talking to someone. That someone is Bifrost, who seems to be asking Jordan for time to finish with the McLain's. As he acknowledges this, Jordan is hardening his grip on his own arm. He tells Bifrost that war could break out at any moment, and he is asking for time. Hearing this, Bifrost realizes the mistake he has made and gets into an upright position. He thinks that Jordan's name as the blazing heat sword truly signifies only his strength. In reality, he is an exceptionally cold and calculating man, so if he gets one wrong answer, it might mean the end for everything. Bifrost puts his head down and tells Jordan that it wouldn't take long, as he would only need 10 days. But Jordan tells Bifrost he is inefficient, leaving him unsure of what to say. Jordan then explains that the most efficient solution would be to bring the McLain's under their faction. Then, their forces would be added to their intact, and upon hearing this, Bifrost is left speechless. Jordan then says that he even sent Luther to do that, but someone warned that the McLain's were too rotten to take in. Hearing this, Bifrost starts asking for forgiveness from Jordan, saying that he lost himself in his greed and did something unforgivable. Seeing this, Jordan remains silent for a second. He then tells Bifrost to wrap up his greed just for now, as after he wins the war, he will wrap up the McLain's and deliver them to his doorstep. Jordan turns around his head, saying that he will give the McLain's a light warning, so he shouldn't worry, but go summon his best troops instead. Right now, that is. They must look at the bigger picture. Several days later, at Castle Tomoto, things seem to be going afoot. Logan and Patrick are talking to someone through the communication orb, who tells them that he will respect Logan's desire to maintain neutrality. However, if he goes back on his word and takes any provocative action, he will prioritize imposing a severe punishment, says a servant, informing Patrick of his grace's words and asking Patrick if he understands. Patrick bows slightly and tells the servant that he has taken his grace's words to heart. As he truly terminates the communication, he tells Patrick that he hopes to continue seeing him keeping up this attitude. Patrick seems annoyed, saying that the man didn't even say goodbye, and wonders what's a messenger doing behaving so arrogantly. And Logan says that he is the Valtermine Duchy after all. Logan then says that, even with the situation as it is, they won't have anything to worry about, and that they won't have to depend on Felix for anything either. Patrick, however, starts stroking his beard, and thinks that if it's as that man said, rather than attacking them, Bifrost is gathering forces and heading to the capital. He then states that with the current state of affairs, they will be able to rest for a while. Logan agrees, and says that they should focus on what they can do for now. The civil war that arose because of Larry Klett's death resulted in physical confrontation just 1 week later. At the beginning, both sides were thinking of taking action to assassinate the other prince, but an unexpected incident arose. While the conscripted forces of both factions were in motion, they just happened to cross paths. In the end, a long line was drawn from the initial point of contact in the north to the territory under the direct control of the crown, and all armies began to battle spontaneously all across the kingdom, a sign that the war would end up being prolonged. As things progressed, the leaders of both factions began to draw out every last bit of strength they could muster. As a result, Bifrost, of course, had no choice but to move to the central front. In the end, he left behind only a minimal number of men at his main castle. Going towards the war, Bifrost thinks that it's fine. As long as they haven't lost their minds, they won't ignore the Duke's warning. He then restates, as long as they haven't lost their minds, not being so sure about Logan's sanity, I wouldn't be either after all. Back at Castle Tomoto, Logan bangs his hand on the table. He tells everyone that they must take this chance and occupy Bifrost. Hearing this, Heinkel, Dwayne, and Patrick say that undoubtedly, Logan has lost his mind. Hearing this, Dwayne asks if Valtermine didn't just warn him not to do that. He asks Logan if he is going to ignore a warning from a superhuman, and Logan tells him that this is exactly what he is going to do. Dwayne proceeds to faint, and as Heinkel catches him, he tells Logan that even if Bifrost doesn't have the luxury of fighting back because of the Civil War, this may be taken as a challenge to the second prince. As a result, they might be made an example of in order to keep the other neutral forces in check. Logan then bursts out of Heinkel's imaginary coffin, scaring the imaginary people, and tells Heinkel that he is wrong. Logan says that they were at war before the Civil War began, so this is merely a fight between families. Taking it as a challenge to the second prince would be too broad an interpretation, and both the second prince and Duke Valtermine are aware of this. Hearing this, Heinkel asks Logan if he predicted this, and took Castle Tomoto for that very reason. He then leaves the idea aside, saying that there is no way Logan could see in the future, and Logan laughs it off. Patrick then intervenes, saying that even if Logan is right, Valtermine is the kind of man that will hold him accountable later, if not now, and asks Logan if he thought about that possibility. Logan says that he didn't, letting his head down, and surprising Heinkel. He then says that he didn't, because there is no way that Valtermine would hold them accountable. Of course, that is assuming they will take over Castle Bifrost, and become strong enough to be a bargaining chip for both factions. Become strong enough for both factions to want them, an idea that leaves everyone astounded. Patrick then turns to Dwayne and Heinkel, and tells them to leave him and Logan alone for a second. As they leave, Dwayne wonders if they are going to fight, tightly clenching some sheets of paper. Patrick then turns to his son, addressing him. He asks Logan if he realizes that there is a fatal flaw in his reasoning, which leaves Logan speechless. For this plan to end, the Civil War must not end before they occupy Bifrost, and grow stronger for it to work. Patrick then says that Logan seems to be absolutely certain that this Civil War will be prolonged, which Logan didn't expect for Patrick to figure out. As Patrick Sluck looks at Logan, Logan thinks that if you look through history, there are very rarely any cases where a civil war lasts longer than a year, and the fact that the Grandia Civil War lasted 3 years is what made it a special case, a detail that Logan overlooked. Patrick then lets out a sigh of relief and closes his eyes. He tells Logan that he said this before the attack on Castle Tomoto, and that he will say it again, but he has no intention of prying into his mind. Patrick says that he believes that everything Logan does is for the sake of the family. However, it would be best for Logan to make up for these kinds of blind spots, and Logan says that he will keep this in mind. Looking towards the massive glass windows, Patrick says that the only thing left now is occupying Bifrost, or rather, taking back the land of their forefathers. At the gate of the main castle Bifrost, 2 guards are looking in the distance as they've spotted something, and the one holding a binocular is left speechless. A whole army is storming the castle, and not just any army, but the man of McLain. One guy from the walls tells people to hold out, while another says that they've sent a message to Parita, so forces will be arriving soon, so they only need to hold out until then. Looking at the scene, Logan says that they do not seem to have any intention of surrendering peacefully, and Patrick says that there is no need to draw this out. As someone steps forth on the walls, Logan says that they will capture the castle at once, and everyone says that they understand. Logan is then disturbed by a voice, telling him that his lordship has left this land for the same as the war that will decide the fate of the nation. He has left it unto him the honorable duty of standing there as the last line of defense. The man says that he has heard many things about Logan, and that he will repay him for the disgrace of having Castle Tomoto stolen. This is Lentor, a high-ranking knight, and as he swings down with his sword, he challenges Logan to a duel among knights. He tells Logan that if he is a knight himself, he will answer his call, otherwise shame himself. But Logan thinks that Lentor is the one shaming himself. Next, a punch seems to connect on Lentor's purple-haired face. His nose bleeds everywhere, and Logan seems to be the one that threw that punch. Seeing what just happened, Logan says that he ended the guy using his fist without even knowing it. Standing behind Lentor is Heinkel, whom Logan asks how Lentor is doing, and Heinkel tells Logan that he has fainted, pushing his face with his boot. Logan cannot believe that guy fainted just from that, and asking himself if Lentor is really a high-ranking knight, and Heinkel says that it seems like Bifrost has really lost itself, asking how could he leave a man that's all talk to command his defenses. Logan then turns towards his father, telling him that they are finished, but he doesn't seem to be paying attention. Once again, he tries to get a hold of Patrick, but he seems mesmerized. Patrick says that this is it, the land of their forefathers, from which they were chased out of 200 years ago. Looking down on it, Patrick asks who would have thought that they would reclaim it so easily. Logan looks at his father and smiles. He then turns away and says that it wasn't easy. They both look behind at their people. Heinkel, Ranyan, Victor, and every other soldier is smiling under the radiant sky. Looking at Ranyan and Heinkel, Patrick realizes something. He takes in a big breath and says that he now understands. He tells everyone that they've done a great job. They, the McLain's, have reclaimed the land of their forefathers, and all of this, thanks to everyone's hard work. He tells everyone that he is blessed to have them as his vassals. He continues by saying that this place is here to recognize their efforts, but it is also to cherish the men that have fallen in the process. Patrick then bows his head and says that he will never forget the nights that brought them there. He then starts reciting names: Caleb, Nil, Ethan, Curtis, and Rariner, Andreas, Piero. The list goes on, and Logan cannot believe Patrick remembers every single one. He then sees Patrick clenching his sword harder with emotion as he speaks the names. Seeing this, Logan smiles. As the sun sets down, Patrick says that he will engrave these names onto his heart to remember them forevermore. He then turns towards Logan, saying that regarding the events that are to come, it would be best to ask the future of the McLain's. Hearing this, Logan turns to Patrick, wanting to say something, but he waits. Patrick nods at Logan, and Logan sheds a sweat, unsure of what he should say. Logan then steps next to his father. He starts speaking, telling the man that he is sure they've all surmised as much, but they've descended to an era of chaos. This being said, the McLain's will ride the winds of chaos to soar even higher. He then rises Lux to the sky, asking the man to become the wings of McLain. Hearing this, one man hails everyone else to salute. As Logan stays with his word pointed towards the sky, everyone has placed their hands on their hearts, hailing glory to McLain. In the war camp, Bifrost cannot believe that his castle has been taken, asking what Perita and Lentor were doing. The man informs Logan that the castle had already fallen before the forces of Perita could be dispatched. Smacking the air, Bifrost calls Lentor a fool. Bifrost, infuriated, says that they will return at once and crush the McLain's limb for limb. That is when Jordan Valtermine comes and tells Bifrost that he won't. Bifrost starts defending his cause, saying that his land, his very home, was attacked by those savages, and he asks Valtermine why he insists on Bifrost not going. Valtermine tells Bifrost that the forces deployed to the central front on both sides are currently nearly equal, and asks Bifrost what will happen if he removes his forces at this time. He then asks Bifrost if he is saying that his lands are above their mission. Bifrost says that this is not what he means, and starts to sweat out of fear. He then tells Valtermine that these crazed men ignored his warning, and Jordan says that he will tear them apart himself. After their mission is over, that is, which Bifrost cannot seem to understand. However, before that, he will send a notice that they must join their faction. Hearing this, Bifrost asks why Jordan would do that. He replies that he will drag the McLain's to the front lines and use them as meat shields, as they won't have the right to refuse. After the notice has been given, Logan starts laughing it off through the communication channel. He tells the two men that if they threaten the McLain's, they will have no choice but to support the first prince, which makes Jordan clench the cup in his fist so hard that he turns into a cup holder, and Bifrost seems to be shitting his pants. Hearing what just transpired, Before thinks that Logan is insane. No matter how bold he is, Logan shouldn't dare make such threats in front of His Excellency. Jordan also seems to be infuriated, saying that not only Logan disregarded his warning, but now is also rejecting his offer as well. He then looks right into Logan's eyes and asks him if he realizes that this means rejecting Prince Romaine's will. Jordan then starts releasing his aura. Bifrost cannot believe what a fierce presence Valtermine has. Logan then says that he is well aware that he is overstepping his bounds. However, he tells Jordan that this grudge between them and Bifrost began long ago. Logan says that it's not because he disrespects His Excellency or the Valtermine Highness, and Jordan tells Logan to prove it. He tells Logan to lead his troops to the front lines and achieve military success. Then the prince and himself will spare Logan from their wrath. However, Logan says that, regrettably, he cannot do that. Jordan breaks the ground underneath him, and Logan says that he has heard a strange noise, asking him if he is all right. Logan tells Jordan that he intends to remain neutral as per his master's wishes, yet his loyalty to the royal family remains unchanged, so he asks that Jordan not doubt his intentions. Jordan then calls Logan an arrogant fool, asking if he even hears himself. Suddenly, a soldier comes, telling Jordan that the first prince's faction is making a move. Turning around, the look on Jordan's face makes the poor soldier rethink his whole existence. Logan also hears the soldier and tells Jordan that it seems like he is busy, and tells him to tend to his affairs. Jordan then goes to pick up the communication globe. He holds the globe in his palm and tells Logan that even at the cost of some losses, he should end their lives there, and that it would serve as a morale booster. Hearing this, Logan asks Jordan if he is sure that this is a loss he can afford, saying that he's heard the front lines are quite evenly matched. As Valtermine's face once again turns into one of pure anger, Logan tells him that he believes His Excellency is not one to be blinded by petty anger, and Jordan calls Logan a thunderous fool, saying that he will soon realize what he has done. He then throws the communication globe to Bifrost and calls for his lieutenant. Jordan tells his subordinate to take a few men and keep watch on Logan, calling him the arrogant brat from earlier. Hearing this, Bifrost thinks that those foolish McLains are hastening their own demise, and that this actually works out well for him, as it wouldn't be bad if they were crushed by His Excellency's hands. Somewhere else, a blonde man is laughing his ass off. This is Juan, who tells Logan that it's been a while since he's heard good news, and thanks him for that. Logan says that just as his communication with Valtermain ended, Juan Douglas contacted him personally, and Logan thanks Juan, saying it is an honor for him to reach him directly. Juan then says that since Logan attacked Befores, he must intend to join his faction. However, Logan just pauses and smiles for a second. He tells Juan that this was merely an old grudge of their family. He tells Juan that is sorry, but they are not yet ready to pledge support to anyone, thinking that that's quite a headache waiting to happen. Juan then tells Logan that with Jordan's ruthless nature, he will likely try to swallow his entire family whole. That is when Juan asks Logan what he intends on doing then, but Logan remains silent. Logan tells Juan that he just received word from Jordan, as he begged, and managed to smooth things over, leaving Juan to ask if this is all. Logan then tells Juan that his family doesn't have the resources to do anything but maintain a firm neutral stance. However, he will be supporting His Excellency in spirit. He then asks Juan to make sure that the remaining Bifrost forces are crushed, and Juan laughs, saying that Logan really does speak his mind. He then tells Logan that he will give him some advice just in case. He tells Logan that if he deceives him, he won't let it slide so easily, and Logan thinks that everyone is threatening him from all sides. But with this, McLain's neutrality has been officially recognized, so there's only one thing left to do. At the Parita estate, Max Parita seems to just have been informed that the Bifrost castle has been occupied. Parita goes crazy, saying that they didn't even dispatch reinforcements yet, and asks his vassal what is happening now, and his vassal tells him to calm down. His vassal tells Parita that McLain has gone this far acting recklessly, and that the Count will not sit idly by. That is when his vassal tells Parita that he is sure the Count will punish them harshly. A soldier then informs them through the communication channel that there will be no retaliation, and that the McLains' neutrality is approved. This leaves both Parita and his vassal speechless. His vassal tells Parita that they shouldn't worry, as if they are neutral, they at least won't touch them, and Parita asks if they can really trust that. A servant then rushes to the room, saying that a notice has arrived from the McLains, making the vassal jump from his feet. The vassal reads the letter, as Parita is asking him what they are saying. It looks like the McLains have sent over some sort of demand list that needs to be carried out in order for them not to attack Parita. Those demands are a monthly tribute of food and supplies worth 100,000 gold, monthly internal inspections by the McLains, the right for McLain to conscript troops freely whenever needed, and a tenant tax reduced to 30%. The letter also reads that given the current situation, they can attack directly, and no matter who becomes king, they will still be the lords of that land. That being said, if the Parita don't want to die, they will kneel to the McLain. Back at the Bifrost main castle, even the flag has been changed to one of McLain's. Inside the castle, Dwayne informs everyone that, as expected, the Parita family has requested to become vassals. Logan says that this is good, and that now, all they have to do is to slowly strangle them dry and absorb their entire military power. Logan says that it's a shame they cannot touch Percival Ruffman yet, but Fwain tells him that they've achieved more than enough. Logan says that for now, all immediate threats are gone, so there is but one thing to do. That is to party, and he does seem to have a party inside the castle. Logan tells everyone that the war is over, so everyone should eat, drink, and enjoy themselves. And people really seem to do that in small groups like Dwayne, Heinkel and Kaisalon, or Hamar, Philip and Clayton, laughing and having a drink. Even Rick with another female servant and Patrick with Marianne seem to enjoy themselves. Victor, however, seems to be really furious about something. Patrick then goes to Logan, asking him if it isn't about time they do it, and Logan says that he is right. Logan asks Heinkel to come forward, addressing him as Sir, which means that something formal is about to happen. Patrick, drunk, goes to scold Heinkel for not saluting the call of his next lord, but Marianne seems to keep him in check. Logan then goes to say that for leading the Night Order and bringing victory in the war, Heinkel deserves a reward. Thus, Sir Heinkel will be rewarded with 1 million gold and land of equal value, which leaves Heinkel stunned. Everyone in the room is astounded, with one guy asking if they are sure their territory wasn't broke just a while ago. They say that the young master completely emptied the castle's treasury, and that there is no wonder he was pouring wine like water. Logan, however, thinks of how good it would have been if the Bifrost forces wouldn't have looted the entire artifact vault. Logan then turns to Clayton, addressing him as Lord. He tells him that the greatest achievement in the defense of Tomoto Castle was by the Golem Tower. Therefore, he also deserves a fitting reward. The the Magic Tower will be granted permanent ownership of its land within McLain Town, with no taxes imposed. Additionally, a reward of 10 million gold will be granted. Bro turned into the Great Gatsby real quick. Hearing this, Clayton falls to his knees with his head bowed. He starts crying, and he thanks Logan again and again and again. He calls Logan his benefactor, or actually his Logan, while Victor notices the fact that Clayton is smiling and crying at the same time. As Patrick and Marianne enjoy the party, Logan Gatsby says that rewards will also be given to others separately, so they should relax and enjoy themselves. After this, Logan says that using someone else's money to play the generous lord feels amazing. Logan then looks at Eileen, who is dressed in a beautiful cherry red dress next to him. Logan turns to her, asking if she really loves the rewards so much, and saying that the Floyd family isn't exactly poor. Eileen turns to Logan and tells him that it's not just the money, but the fact that this is the first money she has earned on her own. She then asks if women in this country even have the chance to make this kind of money, and says that just this much makes her feel like she's accomplished part of his dream. Ranyan then goes to catch Logan's attention. Ranyan asks if Logan is not also going to take care of their blacksmith, and Hamar seems to be waiting for a reward. Logan laughs, thinking that ever since he got a sword from Hamar, he's been really looking out for him, and says that of course he will. He says that he has already got the perfect gift for Hamar, making Hamar wonder what that is. Outside the castle, a carriage stops. A soldier of McLain tells a dwarf to get off as they have arrived. The dwarf, having instead a left hand, says that he cannot believe a human is cramming up slaves into a carriage like cargo. He gets out of the carriage and says that it looks like this time, the master is a real twisted pervert. Inside the city, people are cheering, walking kids are playing, and overall, people seem to be having a good time, and to be happy. Seeing this, the dwarf wonders if this is the place where they will be working from now on. And it seems he is not the only one, as more dwarves are getting down from the carriage, acknowledging the high number of humans around, which they don't seem to like so much. Then they start talking among themselves, saying that this time, the master is really strange, as they didn't expect sending such fine carriages to transport them over. One even says how nobles only perceive them as livestock to be hauled around, while his friends say not to expect much, as in the end, all nobles are alike, and some just love flaunting their wealth around, as they have enough luxury to even provide carriages for slaves. Hearing this, the dwarf with red hair, who seems to be going by the name of Timar, tells his pal to shut his mouth, as someone might hear them. Yet his friend asks Timar if a proud dwarf like he is, plans to grovel down before humans. He then looks at his left hand, and asks if losing it also made him lose his pride. A guard then shouts towards the dwarves, telling them that if they're all of the carriage, they should move, startling Timar. Turning his head around, Timar thinks about what his pal said, calling him a fool, and asking himself if they don't realize that clinging to pride only makes things worse. Looking at the hook acting as his hand, he says he indeed lost his pride when he lost his hand. The single thing keeping a dwarf like him who can't even forge properly is his lack of pride. The dwarves then follow the McLain guard. Timar seems to be the first one before the soldier, strolling through the city. However, he keeps his head down, unsure of what's to come. Looking at the ground, he asks himself if life is even worth living anymore, and if he shouldn't just die and end all the suffering. A cheery man with gray hair and beard then greets them, happy that they've arrived. He starts counting the dwarves, and realizes that there's 10 of them, a perfect count. The man then shouts for someone to inform Lord Hamar that the kin he has requested have arrived. Hearing this, the other dwarves can't grasp the idea, one of them, a dwarf, being a lord. Timar even goes to ask the men if he's really just said Lord Hamar, and the man asks Timar if he knows Lord Hamar. The man then goes on to boast about Hamar, calling him the greatest craftsman in their territory, saying that the things he's created transformed this land. He then tells Timar that because of this, they also have high expectations from them as well, and this makes his face light up. Hearing the way the human talked about Hamar makes him wonder how remarkable of a dwarf and craftsman must he be for a human territory to respect dwarves. Hamar then gets to the scene and says that finally, the long wait has concluded and that HSI kin has arrived. Hamar tells his people that he is glad to see them all in good health, and Tamar seems happy to see the situations unfold, finally having a caring and nice master. As Hamar speaks, the man starts drawing a smirk in the corner of his mouth, and Hamar says that since they're all in such good shape, they can start working. In fact, he says that he can start working them like dogs right away, since they are all so healthy and prone for labor. Hearing this, the expectations on Timar's face and the other dwarves seem to have shattered, as this is not at all what they have expected, as Hamar tells them to get inside as fast as they can, since they have mountains of orders to fulfill. Tamar's mental image of his new master then shatters before his eyes. A few days later, Logan appears out of nowhere and asks Hamar if he has received his gift. Hamar greets Logan and tells him that he has received it indeed, and that thanks to him, the crossbow production has sped up. All while Logan looks around, asking, "Where are the dwarves?" Hamar then points his finger to the left and says that they are all working diligently as the gears of this workshop. Even so, looking inside at Tamar, and all the others in fact, they look tired and completely unhappy. Seeing them work, Logan says that Hamar's system is certainly efficient for mass production, with every person making a single part, but he is sure that the dwarves' pride didn't take that lightly, and it seems like he was correct, as an image of the dwarves shouting at Hamar is then shown, with them complaining that they can't even make the whole product, and another says that this diminishes their craftsmanship pride. However, once Hamar told them how much they need to deliver, they all shut up. He then says that there even was one troublemaker aiming for a leadership role, referring of course to Tamar. That being said, Hamar put him in his place peacefully enough, and by that he means he literally made him stay face down to the ground while acknowledging he is just a gear in the workshop, while asking Tamar if he plans a mutiny or something. Hearing this, Logan laughs, saying that this is Hamar for everyone, handling things so efficiently, and Hamar says that he's of course learned everything from his master, while the dwarves watching the scene call them both devils. Still, Tamar thinks about something. It seems that Hamar has made them the same deal Logan made with him. If they work their hardest for US 20 years, he will grant them their freedom. Looking down at the part he is making, Tamar acknowledges that this is the deal his master made to all of them, and that it's a chance they will never get again. Hamar then looks at the dwarves as they work diligently. He then turns to Logan and asks him why they need so many crossbows, as what Logan asked is enough for 10,000 people to use and still have leftovers, and Logan tells him that this is because 10,000 people will use them. Hearing this, Hamar is stunned and tells Logan that they are making a 10-year supply in advance, telling Logan that this is some excessive preparation. Logan, however, starts laughing, telling Hamar that he's wrong, and that he's in fact creating a militia of about 10,000, which is already being recruited. After hearing this information, Hamar screams so loud he can be heard from outside the workshop. His body language suggests his anxiety and astonishment for what Logan has said, while thinking that he is preparing yet another war, and Logan says that he can see exactly what Hamar thinks. While Hamar places his forehead between his fingers, Logan thinks that the Civil War had just begun. Most people don't realize this war could last 3 years. Not that an imperial invasion awaits at the end of it. A war once fought by elite soldiers will soon turn into a war fought by mercenaries, paid with whatever wealth can be gathered. And in the end, it will become a war fought by desperate peasants forced to take up arms. Logan thinks that it will be a horrific sight, nothing short of hell descending upon this world. And so, they need to prepare for that moment. Hamar then asks, knowing that he shouldn't be the one asking, if it's really okay to arm that many commoners. Logan replies, telling Hamar to just make sure the people live well. Then even if you give them bombs, they won't rebel. Speaking of bombs, Logan tells Hamar that there is something he would like for Hamar and Lord Clayton to secretly develop, and Hamar has a bad feeling about this. At the Magic Tower, Logan seems to have shared the same information with Clayton as well. He wants them to develop a bomb that detonates with a time delay. Logan says that Clayton is correct, but that this is not all, as it should also detonate upon receiving a certain level of impact, and that the force gripping it tightly should be enough. As Clayton writes everything down, Logan tells him that it should also give a light vibration as a warning before it explodes. Otherwise, some might forget to throw it. And it would also be good if it would change color upon detonation. The detonation should happen about 5 seconds later, and the explosion should be the equivalent to a second circle explosion spell. All of that, while maintaining the production costs at a maximum of 50 gold. Logan then asks Clayton if he thinks it's doable. Hearing all of this, Clayton asks Logan if he is sure something like this even exists, and Logan says that of course it does, as he has used it before. Hearing the same thing, Hamar asks where the hell he got something like this, and that it feels like a deja vu. Logan goes on to say that he's even roughly told them what materials go into it, yet Clayton is not convinced, saying that even Logan wasn't 100% certain. Besides, Clayton says that chemical compounds can behave completely differently depending on the mixing ratio. Plus, something that produces a second circle effect at 1/10 the price of a first circle spell scroll. If something like that would have existed, their industry would have exploded with excitement. Clayton then tells Logan that if he's actually used one, it would be faster to find the Persian who made it. So he prepares to use the communication channel to do just that. He calls Felix's advisor and the general from his former life who also asks him if there is someone around him that knows how to make such strange items. The man tells Logan that he doesn't have any close ties with a mage, and Logan can't believe it that he really doesn't know. What he's trying to create is Liberatio, a bomb named after the ancient word for liberation. It was a weapon that dealt a significant blow to the Empire during the Grandia Liberation Front. However, only a handful of people knew how to create it, and unfortunately, Logan wasn't among them. Even so, he thought that if anyone had a clue, it would be Commander Lewis at the time. The creator of Liberation, supposedly, was an earth mage that drew inspiration from the ancient dwarven weapons. So if anyone can figure it out, it is sure to be those two, Hamar and Clayton. Hamar tells Logan that at first, he thought Logan just dreamt all this up. But the vivid way he describes it makes him doubt himself. Hearing this, even Logan thinks that strangely, his memories of Liberatio are strangely clear, almost unnaturally clear, which makes him behave strangely. He lets the thought go, saying that in the end, it's normal, since he died because of it in the end, so it all makes sense in a way. Then he proceeds to once again explain everything to Hamar and Clayton, as they ask if Logan hasn't yet given up on it. Inside a bar, a man strikes down on the table with his fist and a pint of beer, spilling it everywhere, while asking what did this country end up being. Another two men in the bar curse the war, saying that now it's spread all the way to the south. One man starts shouting, saying that if they want to fight, they should do it among themselves, and asking why are they dragging small territories like theirs into it and getting them killed, while his friend calls him a drunk and tells him to lower his voice. The guy at the table from across raises his head and says that he is right. If they want to fight, they should do so among themselves. He then says that just because his great-grandmother was the second daughter of House Kalia's Marquis, this shouldn't mean they have to be dragged into this faction war. He then continues, saying that this is why small provincial nobles like them end up completely ruined. He laments, saying that their family is probably the first one to be destroyed in the Civil War. He was forced to run away, without even being able to retrieve his family's bodies, calling himself a pathetic man. A man wearing a long cape and a hood then comes behind the speaker, asking him if he is Mr. Damien Nadal. Hearing his name spoken by an unknown person, Nadal gets up, clenching his sword and preparing for a fight. He asks the man who he is and how he knows him, as the man pulls you a letter, saying he is from the Information Guild, and that a client of theirs asked him to deliver this letter to Nadal. Looking at it, Nadal wonders who could have sent that letter. The sigil on the crest seems to be resembling a red flame emblem. Inside the castle, our most beloved and loyal servant, Rick, talks to Logan, asking him what all of those papers are. Looking at Logan writing, he asks him if he plans to throw a party or something, and Logan asks him if he is crazy, and why would he be throwing a party in times like this. He then tells Rick that those are letters to be sent to talented people who lost their masters in the Civil War. He asks Logan if he plans on recruiting them, and Logan asks him how he knew that. Rick tells Logan that he has been watching him for years, and then proceeds to ask if there are any famous knights in this ruined territory, as he hasn't really heard of any. To which Logan replies by telling Rick that right now they are just heirs of small lands or ordinary soldiers, and if left alone, they'll probably become wandering mercenaries. Hearing this, Rick asks him why he would recruit those kinds of people, and if they are really that short on troops. That is when Logan tells Rick a saying, a pearl in the mud, yet he knows that this is just information from his past life. Most of them will eventually become Force users, but the one receiving this letter will never awaken Force. Even so, Logan says, he's one of the most important ones. Therefore, he hopes he will accept. He then starts addressing the letter to Mr. Damien Nadal. He starts writing that he, the eldest son of the McLain family, was deeply moved by his poem of the Drunken Moon, left at the academy. He tells Nadal how he thinks he is an exceptional talent, and he's heard that recently, Nadal went through misfortune, so he reached out. Damien reads the lines written by Logan saying that his family continues to grow even in these hard times, and that he needs someone like him. At last, he courtly asks Damien to consider the McLain estate and family, if he needs a new place to reside. However, reading it, Damien asks what kind of nonsense this is. 2 months later, at the McLain estate, a crowd of people seem to have gathered at the gates. One of the guards standing at the gates asks his colleague where did all these people come from, but he does not know the answer. The guard then reveals that they are all saying they got letters from the young master, and as Damien stands behind a guard, he confirms the crest on the letter is the McLain sigil, so he tells the men to follow the guard inside. Damien then steps forward and shows the guard his own letter, barring the same sigil, and says that he has received it from Logan. The guard takes a look and says that the seal is definitely McLain. He then takes a look at Damien. He looks shy and anxious about the whole situation. He tells Damien that it's been verified and that he should follow him, While wondering why would the young master send a letter to a vagrant like him, they then proceed through the pathways of the city and the castle. Looking around, Demian starts to wonder. He asks himself if McLain is trying to grow their territory by taking in war refugees. Even so, he wonders why he would get a letter. Looking around the city, Demian finds it peaceful and wonders if Logan didn't perhaps send the letter to the wrong person. Inside the castle, Logan and Demian seem to have met, with Logan taking Demian's hand, introducing himself, and saying that Demian must be tired from such a long journey. Demian says it's nice to meet Logan, wondering once again if Logan got the wrong person, while he tells Demian to take a seat and talk. He gives Demian a cup of tea, saying that it's still chill, and Demian thanks him. Demian starts sipping from the cup, while at the same time looking at Logan. He assesses Logan's appearance, wondering if he knew him before, but then quickly saying there is no way he would have forgotten red hair and red eyes like his. However, looking at Logan's face, he cannot understand why he is so happy to see him. Looking back at Demian, Logan thinks that even the genius of the Liberation Front had a clueless side. It appears that in reality, or in Logan's past life actually, Nadal was a master of encryption systems and a genius of information management. For more than 20 years, he thoroughly protected the identities of the Liberation Front members. Logan thinks that without saying, his talent goes beyond impressive, but above all, it's his upright character that makes him most desirable as an ally. Even after losing his whole family in the Civil War, he fought for decades for the future of this struggling country. Logan thinks that if he can win Demian's heart, he is someone he can trust unconditionally. Logan then proceeds to strike a conversation with Demian, saying how he has heard that Demian has graduated from the Academy's Public Administration Department. He then asks Demian if he would like to start as an assistant to their chief administrator, telling him that if he proves his ability, he might oversee an entire city someday, which shocks Demian. Demian asks Logan why he'd go so far for someone like him, and Logan asks him if he is not already aware of it, to which Demian replies that he isn't. Logan tells Demian that just as he had mentioned in the letter, he was truly moved by his poem. He tells Demian that having talent in poetry, he can understand context and express things concisely, which is a great skill that could help in management and administration as well. Yet once again, Demian thinks that this is nonsense. While Logan gracefully drinks from his cup of tea with his little finger raised, as English royalties usually used to do, Logan himself then goes to also acknowledge that what he said is nonsense. But he had to secure him no matter what. He thinks that maybe not now, when they're just a small house, but someday, when McLain becomes more than just a noble family, Demian will be a great asset as an information manager, even if it's not his specialty. Right now, he will have to endure the role of an administrator for now. 1 week later, Dwayne and Logan are talking, and with his face all lit up, he tells Logan that this kid is amazing. He points his finger to Philip, grabbing him by the shoulder, and tells Logan that he and Demian together managed to do the work of over 10 people on their own, and asks Logan where he has managed to dig these kids of people out from, and Logan cannot believe that this was actually a good fit for Demian. Logan tells Dwayne that this is great, and to make sure to help Demian adjust smoothly, and Dwayne tells him that there is no other choice but to treat talents like them with the utmost care. Dwayne then goes on to bring a separate matter to Logan's attention. It seems that because of the Civil War, a flood of refugees is coming in, and that the town will reach its population limit much sooner than expected. Hearing this, Logan asks if they should speed up the plans for a second town, and asks Dwayne if the budget will be okay if they do that, to which Dwayne says that he has made some early calculations. It seems like the price of lumber has skyrocketed due to the Civil War, so once town construction is done, the budget will be very tight until the yearly harvest. Hearing this, Philip asks why they would need to be short on money, as there's more than enough to sell in the territory. Hearing this, both Logan and Dwayne are stunned, asking what they could possibly sell. This is when Philip comes with the idea of selling food. Logan seems to be mesmerized by Philip's idea, but Dwayne goes mad, asking why they would sell food, and if they even have that kind of surplus. Philip says that they should be doing it to prepare for the war with Befros, as they didn't sell the surplus food back then. That being said, their war ended quickly, and once the Civil War started, food prices skyrocketed. Philip says that even selling just half would solve their financial problems. Then, he says, with the remaining money they could even build ranches, which Logan seems to consider. He thinks that in the long term, in order to mass-produce thousands of crossbow cavalry, it's something they will definitely be needing. He thinks that right now, they are relying entirely on imports, but to sustain the army, they'll eventually need their own supply. So he tells Philip and Dwayne that this is a good idea. Hearing this, Dwayne once again gets mad, while Philip cheerfully smiles, saying he already knew Logan would be on par with him. He tells Dwayne to let Philip handle that matter, and he tells Philip to squeeze out as much profit as possible and use the leftover money to buy lumber as well. He then tells Dwayne to start preparing for the construction of the second town, and Dwayne abides. Dwayne then reaches into his inner breast pocket to give something to Logan. He hands him a letter, claiming it came for him, but was sent to Dwayne's office by mistake, and Logan thanks Dwayne for the care of giving it to him. The letter bears a black seal with no crest, and that's how Logan knows it's from the Information Guild. Philip and Dwayne bow as they leave, telling Logan that they will be on their way out, and Logan wishes them farewell, telling them to go on with their work. He then starts reading the letter he opened earlier. The letter informs Logan in the matter of the whereabouts of one matching description in the search request he has made. Yet Logan doesn't seem to remember any person searching. Eventually, he recalls the event, as he has made that request the day he first learned the heavy pressure sword from his master. He asked them to find the unaffiliated superhumans who were active during the Imperial War. It looks like it took them some time, but they found one. The letter reads that his name is Churn Crow, not exactly the name Crown Logan has mentioned, but there's a high chance it's the same person. Hearing this name, Logan cannot believe that from all the people it had to be that guy, a developer who succeeded in mass supplying low-grade artifacts and one of the top 10 merchants in the Empire. He covered his entire body with artifacts he made himself, and unlike a typical mage, fought on the front lines, sorcerer who slaughtered Grandia's forces. He was called the Massacre Sorcerer, Crown. Logan clenches the paper tightly, remembering that because of the low-grade artifacts he supplied to the Empire, they say Grandia's downfall came nearly twice as fast. As an enemy, he is an extremely dangerous opponent, so Logan's best option is to recruit him. If that fails, his only remaining option is to kill him instead. Next, it seems we are the Imperial Border Outpost. At the entrance, a soldier stands guard as a hooded figure approaches. Before entering the Empire, the guard tells the figure to halt for a moment. He asks the guy if he is a merchant, and he says that he is indeed a merchant from Grandia. Hearing this, the guard says how he has heard that things are a bit chaotic there these days. He then turns his head around and reaches towards the figure with his hand, saying that it must be tough for him. Logan, who seems to be the hooded figure, doesn't say anything at first. He then lets a gold coin fall in the guard's hand, as he agrees with him. The soldier looks at the coin and tells Logan that there is no need to worry anymore. He grants Logan entrance into the kingdom and tells him that their empire is peaceful. Seeing the plains, Logan says that it's been a while since he's last been in the Empire. Logan says that according to a report from the Informational Guild, the person he is looking for isn't living in a major city, but in a border territory, thinking that he doesn't know why a future superhuman would heil up in a place like that. But the fewer people around, the better for him. In order not to stand out, Logan has intentionally used magic to disguise himself and change the color of his eyes, as having red hair and red eyes makes him stand out to the rest of people too much. Looking at the horizon, Logan thinks he might be lost. Suddenly, a man shouts at him from behind, grabbing his attention. As he clearly approaches Logan with the intent of sparking a conflict, he tells him that he is moving way too fast, calling him a redhead. 3 men, appearing to be bandits, surround Logan and mock him, saying that his head looks like a blood clot. One of the men then points his sword at Logan and tells him to put his bag down. He threatens Logan, saying that if he resists, he will make him bleed just as red as his hair. Yet Logan renders unimpressed by this display. Sometime later, it looks like Logan has arrived at an estate that bears the crest of a dragon or lion. The bandits, all beaten up, tell Logan that they've arrived at the destination. The bandit that was threatening Logan earlier now places his hands together, begging him to let them leave, and Logan thanks them for their guidance and lets them go. They thank Logan as they leave, and Logan simply huffs, thinking about their stupidity. Logan steps inside the city, looking around at the people on the street. It seems that it is full of merchants, as some are trading materials, like leather imported from Rusfelheim, which is of excellent quality. He then sees a nobleman with his servant. The servant tells his master that they should be resting there for a while, and the master agrees, telling him to find a quiet tavern or something. A boy is eager to sell his newspapers, while a woman is talking to her friend about a trendy dress she has seen in the city the other day. Looking around, Logan cannot believe it, as he has heard this was a border castle, but it's just as clean and lively as most cities in the kingdom of Grandia. Logan then pulls out a map and says that the place where the man he is looking for lives is supposedly isolated, even within the castle. He then says that even so, he must be at the right place. He then looks up with his now blue eyes, knowing he came to the right place. It seems that he ended up at a gothic-looking castle, grim and witty. He looks up at the manor, without saying a thing, and placing the map back in his bag. He goes to knock on the door, when he realizes something. What if the man is already a superhuman? Logan thinks that the man was infamous for his nasty temper, so there's a good chance this ends in a fight if recruitment fails, and that the man is probably a slow-cast type mage. If this is so, Logan thinks that he might just be able to kill him. He then slaps himself on the face. He wonders what the hell is he thinking, as he must do everything in his power to recruit him, not kill him. So he will put aside his past life's grudge for now. He then knocks on the door, asking if there's anyone inside. The door opens, and someone asks who the hell is knocking so loudly outside. A man with a thick beard and mustache appears, saying that he's even told the Lord not to make noise around there, which makes Logan shed a sweat. Looking at the man in front of him, he thinks that he's never seen him before, so he asks if he is Churncrown. He tells Logan that he is Churncrown, asking him what business he has there, while Logan assesses his level as a 5th-class mage. Logan tells Crown that he has traveled a long way to meet him, and asks if Crown could spare a moment of his time, yet Crown simply calls Logan a random punk and tells him to get lost. He then slaps the door in his face, leaving him to talk with himself. Seeing this, Logan is not sure what to say or do, so he thinks that he should just revert to his old plan of killing the guy. Yet he restrains himself, saying that he must recruit him, as there's no better ally than this, so he just needs to hold on and endure, while once again knocking on the door. He asks Crown to at least hear him out, when what appears to be lightning magic surrounds Logan all around, at a voltage which Logan says could kill a normal person. Seeing this, Logan calls the guy a son of a bitch and gets mad. He then thinks that if he doesn't want to talk, he will force him to, and so he breaks down the door. He steps in, telling Crown that they have to talk, and Crown realizes that Logan is not a normal guy, while he seems to prepare an attack. Seeing this, Logan is left speechless. It looks like the weapon Crown is preparing to use is the Orb of Massacre, exactly the one he feared. The spell constantly protects Crown's surroundings and automatically repels enemies, an offense-defense type of artifact. Logan remembers that Crown was weaker in direct combat compared to other superhumans, but with the orb, he unleashed unmatched firepower in civilian massacres. However, looking at him, Logan says that he is probably not at that level, since he's only a 5th circle mage at the moment. Logan asks Crown if what he is doing isn't perhaps a bit harsh for a guest from far away, but Crown asks Logan what kind of guest breaks down the door to enter. Logan clams down and tells Crown that he wasn't seeing visitors, so he left him no other choice. He then throws something at Crown. Reaching its feet, Logan says that this must fully compensate for the door. It is, of course, a bag full of gold. Seeing the money, Crown starts sweating intensely, and then tells Logan that he could spare a moment to talk. They sit inside the parlor on the couch, with Logan having his sword by his side, and Crown having his orbs of massacre behind him, while he asks Logan what he wanted to talk about. As Logan tells Crown that he has rumors about him, saying that he came to offer him a recruitment proposal. He also thinks that he has no manners whatsoever by the way he is talking. The word rumors in particular seems to grab Crown's attention, and he asks Logan what kind of rumors he's been hearing, which Logan finds interesting. He then realizes that this is the sound and appearance of a man that certainly has something to hide. Logan tells Crown how he has heard that he is a master of artifacts, and that just by looking at the things behind him, it makes it obvious that the rumor was true. Hearing this, it seems that Crown's short fuse started burning as he shouts at Logan, asking him where he's heard that. Logan tells Crown that he has been looking for a skilled mage, and that the Information Guild pointed him out. Crown's eyes light up, asking Logan what Information Guild is he talking about. Yet Logan looks directly into his eyes, with no emotion whatsoever, and tells him that this is a detail he cannot share. He tells Crown that he's only came after hearing his reputation, and that it sounds like he's got quite a few sins stacked up, making Crown shout to defend himself, as he swears that he's lived an honest life. Logan looks at his sword, thinking that maybe it's because he's been holding a grudge from his past life, but to him, what Crown is saying sounds like someone who's lived a filthy life would say. Even if he's capable, his personality is a problem, so Logan will have to deal with him there and then, since he cannot Crown stabbing him in the back. To Logan, the Orb of Massacre looks weaker than in his past life, at best a 3rd-class artifact, so if he decides to kill Crown, it wouldn't be hard. He then thinks that he should put it to the test, so he looks at him, addressing him as Sir Mage, and posing an impertinent and sparking question. That being if he's ever heard of the name Crownit, which instantly makes him change his facial expression. Hearing the name, Crown realizes that Logan is not who he says he is. The Orb of Massacre then begins to change color, from blue to red, a sign that the man might be through with talking. He lets out a psychotic smile and he goes directly for Logan's neck, saying that this is where Logan is going to shake hands with death. Thank you for watching. See you next time.